Hello, and welcome back to the Magic Mindfulness Podcast. I am your host, Rachel Hupp, and today we are getting real about something that can feel all too relatable, and that is the struggle to stay true to ourselves amidst all of these arbitrary rules and expectations that society loves to impose. And I'll get into what I mean by that. So, again, let's just get real today. Have you ever felt like you are just going through the motions? You are living a life that looks good on paper, but maybe it doesn't truly light you up inside. Like you're constantly trying to fit into some arbitrary mold of what a good woman or partner or mother or person should be, even if that means sacrificing your own needs, wishes, and desires. Maybe you find yourself stuck in a pattern of following these arbitrary rules and expectations that are so often imposed on us by society, our family, our conditioning, even our own self limiting beliefs. So, what do I mean by arbitrary rules and restrictions? Well, that could be things like strict dietary restrictions or body image ideals, even if they don't align with your body's needs. How about gender norms or roles that don't feel authentic to you? Or someone else's definition of success or productivity that leaves you feeling drained or unfulfilled. Now, that's certainly not an exhaustive list, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea to feel into what I'm talking about. It's this pressure to look, act, or be a certain way that leaves us feeling disconnected from our own intuition and our own inner voice. So maybe you are ignoring your body's cues, pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion or illness just to meet these external standards or demands. But by prioritizing outside influences over your own needs and your own desires, you could end up living a life that feels inauthentic and out of alignment with your true purpose. I have so been there, my friend. There was a time, actually for years, I chased the false promise of diet culture, believing that if I could just follow the right set of food rules or achieve the perfect body, I would finally feel good enough. But in pursuing this arbitrary ideal of physical perfection through restrictive diets and juice cleanses, I only found myself disconnected from my body's true needs and caught in a cycle of shame and self doubt. There came a point when I realized that this pursuit of dietary perfection was actually keeping me from the very things that I truly craved: a sense of freedom, ease, and wholeness in my body. So it totally backfired on me. Instead of feeling more worthy, I felt less worthy. Instead of feeling like I was enough, I felt less than enough. And so it did not have the effect that I thought it would. And it was all because I was trying to live up to some standard that I thought I needed to, some societal standard that I thought I had to achieve. So I made the radical decision to break up with diet culture, to begin rebuilding a relationship of trust and respect with myself. I started practicing mindful eating and intuitive eating, learning to tune into and trust my body's natural hunger and fullness cues, and giving myself unconditional permission to enjoy a wide variety of nourishing and satisfying foods. I began to carve out time for daily self care practices like mindful movement and meditation that felt aligned for me and helped me to create and cultivate a deeper connection to my physical sensations and my own needs. And I got really curious about my limiting beliefs, these stories that I had internalized about my worth being tied to my appearance. We have to be gentle with ourselves, but questioning and reframing them in a more compassionate, self honoring way. Here's what I found. As I prioritized my own joy and pleasure, filling my life with experiences and relationships that truly lit me up, I started to experience a profound sense of coming home to myself. Slowly but surely, I learned to trust my body's inner wisdom, to treat myself with kindness and respect, and to embrace my beautifully imperfect humanity, embrace the mess that I am. And in doing so, I discovered this wellspring of confidence, resilience, and authentic power that had always been within me, just waiting to be tapped. So maybe that sounds familiar to you. Um, the reality is, conditioning and habit really do play a significant role in why we can find ourselves stuck following these arbitrary rules and restrictions. So, from a very young age, we are exposed to these societal norms, conditioning, gender roles that have all been probably very big influences on our belief systems and our behaviors. You may have been taught to prioritize others' needs over your own, to be accommodating and selfless, and to allow for certain scripts for how a woman or a person should act, look, and be. These messages, they're reinforced throughout our life, from family dynamics to media portrayals. And over time, these external expectations can become ingrained, forming habits that can really be difficult for us to break free from, even when they no longer serve us, even when we recognize them, right? So, this lack of self trust, this perfectionism, can also contribute to this challenge as we navigate the challenges of life, as we move through these transitions in life. We may find ourselves questioning our own judgment, our own intuition, our own inner guidance. And the reality is, it can feel safer and more comfortable to rely on external rules and guidance rather than trusting your own inner wisdom. So many of us have gotten disconnected from our own inner voice. We have a hard time tuning into it, right? And this self doubt for many of us can really be compounded by a desire to do everything right according to outside standards, standards outside of ourselves. There's this pressure to be perfect, to meet everyone else's expectations. And these pressures can really keep us from listening to our own needs and our own desires. Maybe you found yourself striving tirelessly to fit into this ideal mold, even at the expense of your own well being and your happiness. So I don't know if you can relate to any of that, but if you can, I just want you to know that it is not your fault, my friend. These arbitrary rules and restrictions are so ingrained in our culture, they're ingrained in our conditioning, that it's easy for us to absorb them without question. We all want to feel accepted, we all want to feel validated, and we all want to feel like we are enough. But here's the thing: when you rigidly adhere to these arbitrary rules and restrictions, it is so easy for us to lose touch with our body's innate wisdom. Now, you might find yourself overriding your physical cues and intuition with a constant stream of mental chatter and external shoulds. Instead of deeply listening to and trusting your gut feelings, you get stuck in your head, second guessing yourself. I've been there. Maybe you can relate. And talking yourself out of taking inspired action. This keeps you trapped in a cycle of self doubt and indecision rather than confidently stepping into your power and your purpose. Now, another way that following these arbitrary rules that we don't align with can hold us back is by making us prioritize external markers of success and productivity over our own personal happiness and our personal well being. When we're so focused on checking off boxes and meeting society standards, it is so easy to feel burnt out, to feel resentful, like we are just going through the motions of a life that doesn't truly light us up. You might find yourself neglecting the simple joys, the daily practices that really nourish your soul because they don't seem productive enough, right? Here's the thing: true fulfillment comes from honoring your own needs and desires, not from endlessly trying to meet someone else's goals, dreams, or metrics, right? So, finally, holding yourself to unrealistic standards of perfection. Any other recovering perfectionists out there? Holding ourselves to these unrealistic standards of perfection based upon these arbitrary rules and restrictions that we've been conditioned to follow. It can really stifle our creativity. It can limit our self compassion and it can stifle our growth. When you're constantly judging and criticizing yourself against these external benchmarks, it's really hard to embrace your own beautiful, messy humanity, the beautiful mess that we all are. You might find yourself overanalyzing every decision and scenario, getting stuck in analysis paralysis rather than taking imperfect action and learning as you go. But growth and transformation happen outside of your comfort zone, in the space of vulnerability and self acceptance. Now, these patterns of conditioning, habit, self doubt, and perfectionism, they can be especially challenging to navigate in midlife. At this stage, we may be grappling with significant changes and shifts in identity. You might be experiencing a career change, changes in your relationship, or family roles. These scripts that we've been following for decades may no longer fit, leaving you feeling out of alignment and disconnected from yourself. However, this is also a really powerful time to question these old patterns and begin to cultivate a deeper trust in yourself. By learning to listen to your body's wisdom and honor your intuition, you can start to break free from these arbitrary rules and live a life that feels more authentic and more fulfilling to you. So, my friend, if you are ready to break free from this cage of arbitrary rules and expectations that don't feel aligned, that don't feel supportive for you, and if you're ready to instead spread your wings and soar towards a life that really lights you up, I encourage you to begin cultivating a practice of radical self trust. And what do I mean by that? Radical self trust. This means learning to deeply listen to and honor your body's innate wisdom, to question the limiting beliefs that have kept you small, and to unapologetically prioritize your own joy and fulfillment. Now, one of the most powerful ways to build this self trust is to develop a daily practice of tuning in to your body's signals and needs. This can take many different forms, so find what feels right for you. It might look like setting aside some time each morning for mindful movement or meditation, noticing any sensations, emotions, or desires that come up for you. It could be pausing throughout your day to just take a few breaths and check in with yourself, asking yourself, what do I need in this moment? Or maybe it's just craving out some space in the evening for a luxurious self care ritual. Maybe it's a candlelit bath or a self massage. As you begin to regularly attune to your body's messages, you'll start to cultivate a deeper connection to your intuition, that wise inner voice that always knows your next right step. Now, another key aspect of learning to trust yourself is questioning and reframing the limiting beliefs that have kept you stuck in patterns of people pleasing and self abandonment. So, begin to become aware of in a very compassionate and loving way, but notice when thoughts like, I should put everyone else's needs before my own. Now, maybe you don't have that logical thought, but maybe you notice yourself doing it. Or when you're saying to yourself, I have to have the perfect body to be worthy of love. These might be thoughts, they might be feelings, whatever it is, with compassion, with curiosity, with loving kindness, ask yourself, is this really true? Is this belief serving my highest good, or is it based on external expectations and conditioning? As you start to identify and release these limiting stories, you create space to reframe your thoughts in a more empowering and self honoring way. You begin to embrace beliefs like, I am worthy of love and respect exactly as I am, and my needs and desires matter. This inner shift lays the foundation for making aligned choices and taking inspired action. Finally, to truly embody self trust, it's so important to prioritize your own joy and pleasure. Give yourself full permission to invest in activities, experiences, and relationships that make you feel alive, even if they don't feel productive or fit into society's narrow definition of success. Maybe this means signing up for that art class that you've been eyeing or booking a solo weekend getaway in nature. Maybe it looks like saying no to commitments that drain you so that you can say a more wholehearted yes to what really matters to you. Or it could be infusing more play, more laughter, more sensuality into your daily life. My friend, as you begin to orient your life around what truly lights you up, rather than what you think you should be doing, you'll start to experience a whole new level of fulfillment and alignment. That's where the magic happens. You'll reconnect with your authentic self, that vibrant, radiant being beneath all those masks and expectations. And from this place of overflowing self-love and self-trust, you will naturally start showing up in the world in a more powerful and purposeful way. So now you may be wondering how to listen to, how do you discern this voice of your intuition from the noise of all those shoulds? I was in a training one time and the coach said something about, are you shoulding all over yourself? And let me tell you, I could relate to that because I was shoulding all over myself. Now, one of the key ways to start to differentiate between the two, the voice of intuition and the voice of these external expectations or shoulds. One way to do it is to practice mindfulness, right? So this means bringing a curious, non-judgmental awareness to your present moment, thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. So the next time that you are faced with a decision or you feel this sense of unease, I invite you to just take a moment to pause and tune in. Notice any physical cues like a tightness in your chest or a sinking feeling in your gut. Pay attention to the quality of your thoughts. Are they frantic, fear-based, or pressuring, like that voice of external expectations, something like nagging you? Or are they calm, centered, and gently encouraging, like the voice of your inner wisdom? It takes practice, so just be open-minded about it. But the more you practice this kind of mindful self-awareness, the more you'll start to recognize the unique language of your intuition, which often speaks through subtle sensations, emotions, and quiet whispers rather than the loud demands of your conditioning. So I notice myself getting caught up in these recurring patterns, like these ruminating thoughts. And when I notice that I'm stuck in my head, I like to pause, take a deep breath, come back into my body, come back into this moment, the sounds around me, the earth beneath me, come back into this moment, check in with myself, and notice any sensations in my body to bring me back to the moment and to really connect with myself, to get out of my head and to tune into that voice within. So see what works for you. With practice, you start to notice when you're drifting away from that sense of intuition, that inner guidance, and you can bring yourself back more easily. Now, another question you may have by now is how do you reconnect with your authentic desires and passions, especially if you have been disconnected from them for a long time? So, for example, if you are a mother and your children are getting older and you finally have some time for yourself, you may feel like you forgot who you are. Or if your children are just now leaving the house and you're in this empty nest phase, right? It can be the same thing. You've lost touch with who you really are, perhaps, and you don't really know how to reconnect with your authentic desires. You don't know what your passions are anymore. Another time that I see this happening, and I've experienced it myself, is when relationships are ending. Whatever the reason for that, you can feel like you just don't know what brings you joy anymore. You've been so focused on this other person, this relationship for so long that you don't even know what brings you joy anymore. You don't even know what your passions are anymore. So if you do feel disconnected, it's okay. Don't worry. But how do you start reconnecting with your own authentic desires, with your personal passions? Well, one way to do this is to have fun. Give yourself permission to explore and to play without attaching to a particular outcome. So often we get stuck in the trap of thinking, at least I do, that we need to have it all figured out before we take a step, which can keep us paralyzed. Analysis paralysis keeps us paralyzed in indecision and self-doubt. But let me tell you, my friend, you don't have to have the entire path mapped out in order to begin. You just need to get curious and take one small, imperfect action in the direction of what lights you up. So what does that look like? It's going to be different for each of us. Maybe it's signing up for that painting class you've been eyeing, even if you haven't picked up a brush since elementary school. It could be booking a solo weekend getaway in a place that's always sparked your sense of wonder without needing to know exactly what you'll do when you get there. The key is to approach these experiences with a sense of openness, presence, and self-compassion. really focusing on the joy of the journey rather than fixating on the destination, right? So honor the journey, not just the destination. As you begin to mindfully tune into your body's wisdom and explore what makes you come alive, you will start to build a foundation of self trust. You'll learn that you can handle the discomfort of the unknown, that you are resilient, you are resourceful enough to navigate challenges as they arrive. And slowly but surely, you will start to gain clarity on the unique passions and purpose that are yours and yours alone to express out into the world. So remember, sweet one, this is a lifelong journey of coming home to yourself again and again, not a race to some imagined finish line. It's okay to start small, to fumble, to experiment, and to course correct along the way. The most important thing is that you're honoring the whispers of your soul and learning to trust that innate wisdom that's always been within you, just waiting to be heard. And know that as you begin this path of self discovery and self trust, you are held and supported every step of the way. Now, in this episode, we've talked about a lot. We've explored this pervasive problem of getting caught in this trap of following arbitrary rules and restrictions that might be around our diet or our body image, around our gender roles, or our pursuit of success or happiness or productivity or purpose. These can be imposed by society, family, conditioning, our own limiting beliefs. We dug into how this constant striving to meet these external expectations can really leave us feeling disconnected, unfulfilled. We feel disconnected from our own bodies, our intuition, our authentic desires, our authentic selves. And it can keep us stuck in these unfulfilling patterns of people pleasing and self abandonment, even as we long for a life of greater joy, purpose, and alignment. Now, I shared my own story of breaking free from the cycle of diet culture and learning to listen to and trust my body's innate wisdom. So, we talked about how this path of true fulfillment really lies in cultivating a deep and loving relationship with ourselves by practicing mindfulness, compassionately questioning our limiting beliefs, and prioritizing our own joy and pleasure. We begin to build this unshakable foundation of self trust, one that allows us to navigate life's challenges with resilience, grace, and an abiding sense of inner peace. So, if you are ready to release the shackles of external expectations and step into the wild, beautiful freedom of your most authentic life, know that everything you need is already within you. It's inside you right now. Your inner wisdom is always available to guide you home. All you need to do is slow down, get curious, and begin. So, why don't you offer yourself a nice, long, deep breath in? Feel it move through your body as you come fully into this moment. Gently let it go. Notice how it feels to be you in your body in the moment that you are in right now. Pretty magical, right? Now, as we come to the end of this episode, I want to leave you with one final thought. Learning to trust yourself is a radical act of self love. It is a declaration that you are worthy of your own time, attention, and care. That your needs, your desires, and your dreams matter simply because they are yours. And while the journey of self discovery and self trust is not always easy, I promise you it is so worth it because on the other side of all that conditioned noise and self doubt lies this life of profound freedom, joy, and alignment. It's a life that is fully, unapologetically, gloriously your own. The beautiful mess, whatever it is, it's all yours, my friend. So, if you are feeling called to dive deeper into this work of self trust and self discovery, I have created a special gift just for you, and it is a free downloadable worksheet. It's called Unraveling the Layers 10 Powerful Journal Prompts for Uncovering Your Authentic Self. I've designed these prompts to help you get curious about your inner landscape, to compassionately question the stories and beliefs that have shaped your life, and to begin reconnecting with the wise, wild voice of your own intuition, your inner voice, that inner knowing. So you can grab your copy if you are interested by clicking the link in the show notes. And I truly believe that this kind of self reflective work is some of the most important and transformative work that we can do. And I would be honored to support you on your journey. So I hope that this episode has been helpful for you. Let me know what you think. And with that, I will wish you a beautiful rest of your day. See you in the next episode.